Hi, I'm Phoenix. I use they, them pronouns.
And I'm Eve. I use any pronouns.
And this month on Book Club, we are talking about Idolfire by Grace Curtis.
Woohoo!
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this one.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say that I love Grace Curtis. I loved Frontier, I loved Floating Hotel, and I loved this.
I love Grace Curtis. I just didn't. I liked it. My favourite's definitely been Floating Hotel out of all the
This is what I was about to say, because I have rated all of them 5 stars. Spoilers, I rated this 5 stars. I've rated all of them 5 stars, but I do think they are of different levels, right?
Yes.
But they all deserve a 5 because I loved them all. Frontier was my favourite, right? And I know you didn't get along with Frontier as much as you did. And I think that might be why you didn't get along with this as much either, because this feels much more like Frontier than it does like Floating Hotel.
Yeah.
I think that's where we're at. It's much like fucking Faithbreaker, right? I feel like we've gone to the tone of book 1 again. And in this case, I really enjoyed that. Whereas I was thinking maybe that was why you struggled with it more, because it's not quite like... It's more like Frontier than
I
Floating
didn't
Hotel.
click that until you said it, but yes, I think so. They're very similar writing, I think.
Yeah.
Which is still really good. I'm not taking a crack at the writing. I've pulled up my 3 ratings over the 3 books that we've read.
Yeah.
That have been read from Grace Curtis. For not spoilers, I'll just tell you. My Idolfire rating was 3.5. I'm happy with that. My Frontier rating was 3.
Mm-hmm.
And my Floating Hotel was 4.
Yeah.
I think Floating Hotel should actually be higher now, because upon rethinking about Floating Hotel, I loved it a lot more than I thought. But yeah, Idolfire was good. I thought it was a great time. I thought it was a great premise. There was just a couple things for me that I was just like, I'm not sure.
Which is totally fair.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to find out what specific bits you struggled with. Or not struggled with, but didn't get along with.
Exactly.
In the same way.
Yeah.
I do just want to say...
Yes, go for it.
That this is now the third Grace Curtis book in a row with an absolutely stunning cover.
Oh my god, it's so good.
All of her covers
so good.
are really pretty. And this one is no exception. I think it's really, really lovely.
The cover illustration, Alyssa Winans, and cover design, Daisy Woods. You've nailed it.
I have a feeling...
You've nailed it. Is it the same person? It might be.
I was going to say I have a feeling that I recognise that name. Yeah, so it's the same person who did Floating Hotel's cover.
See?
And also the cover of The Red Scholar's Wake that we read. And... the cover of To Be Taught If Fortunate by Becky Chambers, also a stunning cover.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
People,
big fan.
Big fan. It wasn't your fault you worked on Red Scholar's Wake.
Yeah, well,
it wasn't your fault. You did a great job on that cover.
I'm curious now. Hang on, I'm gonna go grab my copy of Frontier.
Please do.
Who illustrated that?
Please do. The US cover looks like crap. Well, it doesn't.
What,
it
for
still
Frontier?
looks good. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like the other cover of Frontier.
Not a good. I never usually like the US editions.
Yeah, they're often worse.
The US edition of this has steam coming out of the fire pit and not like the raging fire that we have on our cover. I don't know why they needed to make the difference.
No.
But they sure did. I think this cover is banging. Great job.
Cover illustration, Alyssa Winans.
Ah!
So it's the
Alyssa
same
Winans.
artist.
Alyssa Winans, I love you so much. You're doing a great job.
That doesn't surprise me. It's the same style. It's lovely.
Honestly.
They're all beautiful covers. And I know, because I looked on Grace Curtis's Instagram yesterday because I wanted to make sure that I was getting her pronouns right.
Yes.
That book 4 is coming. I can... I'll just quickly read
Please
Grace Curtis's
do.
Instagram post.
I have
This
not
is from
heard
3
this.
weeks ago as well. So
Really?
this is, hot, fresh news at this point.
Grace.
Um,
Jesus.
So, The headline is, the second draft of my next book, tentatively titled Heaven's Graveyard, is finished and safely back in the hands of my publisher. Hooray. HG is sinister lesbian history mystery set 2,000 years after the events of Idolfire. There's murder, skeletons, sexual tensions, shrimp, peril on the high seas, late 20s academic ennui, and much, much more.
Are you saying we might be getting like a Harrow version of this?
It does feel that way a little bit, doesn't it?
A little necromancy from what I'm gathering.
We will absolutely be reading that when it comes out.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm just putting that out there right now.
I did not realise. I hadn't checked their Instagram. This is beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So it's coming.
Powerhouse.
Also, I'd forgotten that my edition of Frontier has really cool end papers too, but the other ones don't, which is disappointing.
Anyway, we should probably tell what the book's about.
Yeah, let me whap out this blurb, shall I?
Whap out the blurb.
Him. Him. On one side of the world, Alea Anna Ulai is desperate for a chance. Her family has written her off as a mistake, but she's determined to prove every last one of them wrong. On the other, Kirby of Wall's End is searching for redemption. An ancient curse tore her life apart, and to break it, she'll have to leave everything behind. Fate sets them both on the path to Novella, a city once poised to conquer the world with the power of 1,000 stolen gods. Now the gates are closed, and the old magic slumbers, waiting for a spark to light it anew.
I have not been calling the city Novella. In my head. I've been saying Novella.
Oh, I've been calling it Novella. Well, we'll have to consult an audiobook copy, I guess.
We'll have to consult. We'll be getting many pronunciations. It's all good.
I would like to just throw out one of my biggest criticisms of this book right off the bat. Now, if you've got your copy in front of you, please open it to the map, okay?
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So this map is lovely.
Pissed me off.
Right? It's nice enough. There is a map crack, because of course there's a map crack. And classic for fantasy book, novella, the main city, slap bang in the map crack. But that's not my biggest issue. No. My biggest issue, my friends, is that North is down. Why is North down? Why is North at the bottom of the map?
Holy shit, I didn't even notice that.
Why is North down? Why is North down? That's just confusing, right? I understand that North being up is an entirely constructed thing and doesn't actually, apply to how the Earth looks. But let's face it, we are all used to looking at maps where North is up. And there are times in this book where they talk directionally about travelling southeast or whatever, and I'm looking at the map and I'm going, hang on, that's the wrong way. And then I remember that North is down. Why is North down? That is my biggest complaint. I would just like to put that out there. We all know that I have issues with maps in fantasy books being like this. Why is North down?
I thought your complaint was going to be that, well, I don't know about your copy, but I had to fully kind of pull at the pages to be able to make out the word novella. Because I could not see
the
it.
A of novella is in the crack of the map for me. It says novelle and then there's a squiggle.
No, I've got N.
Oh, okay.
And I pull it back and I see
it's not that bad.
IV. And I could not find it for the life of me. I was like, where are they going? It's not real. I hadn't noticed the compass.
North is down.
Purely because I was focusing on where the fuck.
That's a fair complaint to make. But yeah.
Holy shit. That's so silly.
Yeah.
I'm
just not a fan.
No.
There's no need. No need for this sort of behaviour.
No.
And it really confused me repeatedly.
Yeah.
So I'm just throwing that out there. Put your maps the right way up.
Yes. I'd stop giving them map cracks. I'd be okay with just a one-page map.
Just make a one-page map, for fuck's sake.
Just make them horizontal.
It's not that hard.
Honestly. It's fine. I won't mind.
I'd rather have to rotate my book 90 degrees to look at the map sideways than have a fucking main city halfway into the fucking crack of the map that I can't look at. See, if I ever actually write and publish a book,
yeah,
I will be personally supervising every aspect of the creation of a map.
They're gonna take your map and they're gonna throw it away.
They're going to put it just entirely in the crack of the page.
Yeah, it's
going to be like 2 blank pages with like a tiny map right on the crack.
You want to see the map? You have to take the pages out of the hardback. You have to cut them out.
Oh god.
That's what they're going to do.
Okay.
But yes,
let's just...
Idolfire.
We've already said our ratings. I gave it 5. You gave it 3.5.
Yes.
Just hit me with like your general thoughts.
Okay. So there was things I really liked. I found that I really liked the characters of Kirby, Lundy, who was the prophet, but I'll get to them a bit more later. Aaliyah was also kind of cool, but I found her a little bit annoying, and I could not care for the Spartan soldier-esque.
Oh, I like Nylothon.
Nylothon, I was like, girl.
Nylothon, you're not meant to like him at first.
Oh no,
but then you grow to love him. He's just a guy being gay and not understanding how he's gay.
I know! He doesn't know what the word gay means. He doesn't even know there's worlds outside his
raging misogynist.
He's such a misogynist.
And you're not meant to like him. But then also he, does, spoilers, sacrifice himself to save them both.
Yeah, which is very sweet.
I did tear up a little bit at that point.
Did you? No, not a tear was shed. Dry. But
I 100% am on board with your feelings about Kirby and Aaliyah, though. Yes.
Yes, I didn't think they had a lot of chemistry. I think they had some. I think some.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I liked that they parted ways. I know that's maybe a hot take, but
I saw a number of people in the reviews saying that they had bought this book expecting it to be romantasy and then found themselves disappointed because it's not romantasy.
I'm happy this isn't romantasy.
I'm thrilled this isn't romantasy, and I do want to clarify, nowhere is this this is not being marketed, at least not by the author or the publisher, as being romantasy. Right?
Yeah.
It is fantasy, there is romance in it, it is not romantasy. So, the romance, right? Because this is kind of like, there's
I mentioned the romance first because I think that's what everyone expected.
Yes.
I personally, I'll brush on the world building real quick. I thought the world building was great. I thought it was really fun seeing a ton of different cultures and how they intersect. I loved where Kirby came from, the little town on the end, I think. I thought that was great. But this book will be totally overshadowed by the romance not hitting as well as people thought it did.
Yes, but yes, I agree. The way I see it, right? There's two things going on in this book, right? There's the direct plot of them trying to go to Novella to do their own separate things. And then there's the sort of subplot, as it were, of the romance between Kirby and Aaliyah. Yes. Right? And I see where you're coming from. They don't have a lot of chemistry, but I don't think they're kind of meant to.
No.
Right? Because what we have in these two characters, we have Aaliyah, who we know from the early sections of this book is casual, shall we say, about her relationships.
Absolutely.
And is clearly somebody who just sleeps with people which is fine.
Because she wants to.
Exactly. Yeah. Go for it. And on the other side, we have Kirby, who has grown up her whole life in this very small village. She's really quite naive, and she's had very specific ideas of what her life was going to be like, and particularly what her romantic life was going to be like for most of her childhood. And now she's out in the fucking world, and she meets Aaliyah, and Aaliyah's different and weird and flirtatious in a way that Kirby has probably never encountered before.
Yeah.
I don't think they are meant to be a couple that you're necessarily meant to root for in that way.
No.
Right? But that's kind of the point of the book, right? Is that it's not this is a romance that has a lovely happy ending and they get together and then they stay together forever. The whole point is that they clearly have feelings for each other. Although whether that's because of the situation that they're going through together more than anything else, I think you could definitely make the argument that it's a case of that's where they're both at, right?
Yeah.
Like, Alea has just basically had her sort of life pulled out from under her, and so has Kirby. And so they're both just like, oh, connection! Yay! And they start to sort of develop a thing. Yeah. And then they go their separate ways, right? Like, the end, just the sort of end before the end of this book. There's an epilogue, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
I loved
the end of this book. The epilogue is fantastic. The end of this book, they go their separate ways.
I'm happy
They both go back to where they came from. And I love it.
I love that.
I was so happy that that's where this went.
It was kind of refreshing.
Alea very specifically says, when they've achieved what they want to achieve, she's like, so this is us then. I'm going that way, and you're going that way. And that's fine. We've had our thing, and it worked while we were together, but we both knew this wasn't going to be life.
Yeah.
Right? And that, to me, I am thrilled to see that in a book with a romance.
I think
it
was so healthy.
Every romance... So healthy, because not every relationship is the romance to end all romances. Not every relationship is the one you're going to be with for the rest of your life. And they both go on to have really happy, fulfilled lives.
Yeah.
They both get to do the things they always wanted to do. And then in the epilogue, they get back together. Sort of. Because Alea is dying. She's been poisoned.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
and Kirby comes back to see her because they know that this is the end.
This is the end. And it was really sweet.
An implication that they've done that they've, are together in a way at the end.
Old woman gets on.
But it's not about that. It's about we went through a lot together. We were such an integral part of each other's stories all those years ago. And now you're dying and I wanted to come and say goodbye.
Yeah.
And that is so beautiful. I loved it.
I loved that. I really, really did.
It's such a refreshing approach to a romance in a fantasy book.
Truly. It really, really is.
To just be like, these two, they have a thing. They clearly care deeply for each other. They clearly have impacted each other greatly.
Great deal.
But they're not the love story for the ages. They're not the couple that will get together and be together and live their lives together. But they had this, few months or however long the book takes, period where they were together, and they had these journeys that for both of them then went on to change the rest of their lives. And neither of them will ever forget the other one. But sometimes that's what happens. You come into somebody's life and you have this massive impact on them, and then that's it. You're gone. And I think it's so healthy to have that, and to not pretend that it's not a romance because of that.
Yes.
Like, this is a romance. It's just not this typical romance, and I love that.
Not forcing that they need to get together at the end, because they have their own separate, wants and, missions and motivations. Yeah. And they have their own shit going on. And sometimes their relationship, they knew, was only going to be time-bound. So, I think it was extremely healthy what they did, and it was great to see that they knew what they wanted, and they knew what each other wanted, and was like, this will be it. But they loved each other for that period of time, and they still did at the end of the book. And it was so nice that at the end of Alea's life, that they immediately called Kirby and was like, "Hey,
it was like she's going.
Want to see you for one last time?
Come see her one last time."
Yeah. I thought that was so sweet.
Yeah.
I loved that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And especially because you see them drastically change throughout the book as well. Because Alea becomes less, self...
They learn a lot from each other.
Yeah. They really do. And they become
Alea becomes a lot less selfish.
Yeah.
And Kirby...
extremely.
Kirby understands... I think Kirby becomes less selfish in a way too.
Yeah.
But understands more of the world and what reality is.
Yeah. Learns that the world isn't flat.
Yeah.
That was so funny. Loved that bit. But yeah, I think they impacted each other so well. Yeah. I loved them, and I loved the parting ways, and that I know people will hate that. I loved it.
Yeah, because I thought
it was good.
I saw a review that caused me to Google a thing because it was like, this is not HEA. I had to Google what HEA stands for. It's happily ever after, in case you ever want to know.
Oh, I don't know.
It turns out that the romance community,
but this is happily ever after.
Need to have their acronym, yeah, but not in the way they
not in the way they want it. Okay.
And I was like, what does HEA mean? I was like, oh, it's not happily ever after. Okay,
That
yeah,
sounds
no,
like
it's not.
they should be going to
It's
the
not in the traditional sense.
No.
But it is. It's just that
It
the
is.
happily ever after is not the two of them together. And I think,
No.
like you say, it's so healthy because there's so many romances where either one of the two people gives up
their dream.
their dream for the other person, or one of the two people, their dream is to find a love.
Oh
And
God,
it's like,
I hate that dream. Have a personality. Have a goal.
So it was really, really nice in this to be like, they both have their goals, their dreams, their quests that they're on, and they achieve those things together, and they impact each other, and they're intertwined, and then they're like, and then they went off and they lived their lives.
They sure did.
And they never forgot each other. They always loved each other, but it wasn't that they were a couple because neither one of them could give up the thing that they were doing it for. Just for a chance at a romance that, like,
could,
you know,
because one of them would have had to give up something,
exactly.
and there was no way Aaliyah was giving up the crown after that.
Exactly, it was either Aaliyah gives up the crown and therefore the chance to reform and change the city that she loves, or Kirby gives up her dream of having a family and helping Wall's End
And
to
society,
rejuvenate.
Grow again.
There was no basically
way.
It was like they were both sort of responsible for returning and saving the society and culture that they came from extinction. If either one of them had given up on their dreams, their society, their culture would be gone within a generation or two, and neither of them could do that.
Yeah.
And I also loved that it wasn't that either one of them was trying to fulfill like a societally expected role, right?
No.
There wasn't pressure on them to save their cultures. It was that each of them wanted
They made the
to.
decision.
Exactly.
It was great. That's why I really liked Kirby as a character. And
I
loved Kirby, and it was actually kind of nice seeing like a female lead actually really wanting like kids.
Yeah.
Like I never see that in fantasy, and I'm always like wary of ever saying that because I'm like, women should want kids. No, but like I kind of liked it. I thought it was quite sweet, and she knew what she wanted throughout the entire time, and her whole relationship with her family was so interesting. The one tear I did shed was when her brother died. I was that hurt.
Yeah.
That hurt a lot. But Kirby was probably my favourite out of all of the people we met. I thought she was so well written. She was so like community valued and community based, and she kind of fit into communities everywhere. Because she had that kind of.
I think she's a really good example of how you can write a character who is naive to the ways of the world, but isn't a total fucking dumbass.
Yeah. She's not dumb at all. She's actually
she learns.
Yeah.
She didn't already know the things, but as soon as she learns the thing, she knows it. She understands it, and I think it's like it makes sense that she would be naive like that.
Yeah.
Like, she comes from this very isolated culture.
Don't really have much of an education. She doesn't know what happened to the city she's literally living outside of.
Exactly. And none of them do. Like they and so it makes sense. And Alea is obviously the total opposite of that, who comes from this culture that is all about knowledge.
Yeah.
And I loved that although Kirby is naive and does not understand everything already, she's not presented as being stupid.
Yeah.
She's not like Yeah,
exactly.
And Alea at first is like, oh, you're like looks down on her a bit because she's naive, and then begins to understand where Kirby comes from more.
Yeah. And like teaches her slightly. I think that's quite fun.
Yeah.
He's quite patient with her because she was like, the whole quest was fantastic. I think from Kirby's point of view as well.
Yeah.
To get the god system.
I'm always a big fan of, and this to me is where Grace Curtis really starts to lean into the the Becky Chambers comparisons.
Yeah.
I am a huge fan of a story where the story is the story, and it's not about the end. It's not about getting the thing. It's not about going and finding the ring. It's about the journey between Hobbiton and the ring, right?
Yes. Oh my god, that's a great comparison.
Mount Doom, right? Like, it's like Lord of the Rings in that sense that, like, it's not about the act of throwing the ring into the Mount Doom. That's the end of the thing. It's about the journey there.
Yeah.
And Grace Curtis does that, and Becky Chambers does that, where it's like, yeah, there's a plot, but it's not about that. It's about the journey. It's about, like, this is like road trip fantasy, and I love that.
There's an end goal, but here's 400 pages of them kicking about doing cool things.
Yeah.
That is more interesting than the final location.
Yeah. I love a book that is about the journey and not about the destination as such.
I'm a big fan of fantasy road trips, and I didn't think I was until I read this. I really enjoyed it because I'm not a big road trip person in other books, in other fiction. But I think Becky Chambers, Grace Curtis do it very well, road trip wise.
Yeah.
Quote unquote.
Where it's about the characters and how they develop over the course of the journey.
For sure.
Rather than about necessarily what it is that they're doing.
Exactly.
And yeah, community, I think, is a big focus on this book as well, where it's like Kirby learns more about her community and about why they are where they are, and about how they fit into the world. And Alea begins to understand that she has to be part of her community and can't just do the things that she wants to do to change things by herself.
Yes.
Because it's like what I liked about Alea as well is that even at the start when she's quite self-centered.
Yes.
She is also very clearly passionate about making things in the city of Ash better.
Yes.
And it's just that she doesn't understand how to do that. And she is under the impression that if she's just good enough, if she inherits the crown, she can just do it herself.
Yeah.
And I think in the course of this book, she begins to understand that that's not how life works, and that other people need to be part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't just do it yourself.
Yeah.
So I like that her motivation, even when she's much more of a self-centered person, and like she's not particularly likable from the start.
Oh no.
But her motivation is good, and I love that. Because I think it'd be really easy to write a character like Alea as not having that motivation from the start. Right? Like, it'd be really easy to have her motivation at the start be basically that she wants power. And then she begins to learn that power could be used for good. Whereas in Alea's case, it's like right from the start, she is like, I want that power because I want to improve things. She just doesn't get the steps that she needs to take to get there.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah. Same.
I did like Nyla Vaughn. I didn't like not as a person.
No, but you're not,
not
meant
at first,
to.
especially.
You're not meant
exactly.
to.
He is a misogynistic piece of shit.
Yeah.
But that's not as a defense. That is the culture that he comes from.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this is kind of the point, is that he comes from a very masculine, macho, toxic culture. And then he has to spend time travelling with these two women who do not give a fuck about his macho masculine culture because they're both more interested in each other than they are in men.
You're like, why are you not paying attention to me?
And he, over the course of the book, begins to realise that you can be a macho masculine man and also love people.
Yeah, which I thought was real healthy. That was one thing about him I really liked.
I think, again, it would have been very easy to have a character like him who is basically, let's face it, like a pastiche of like toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
That exists very prominently in this world still today.
Oh, indeed.
And just present him as just being like bad and wrong.
For sure.
And instead, what Grace Curtis does is like the misogyny, bad and wrong, yes. But the masculinity is not the bad and wrong thing. It's the misogyny. And I think this is so important, is being able to present being masculine and being macho and being manly as not inherently toxic.
Yeah.
And that you can do all of that and still have emotions and feelings and love.
For sure.
And every time I see that sort of thing come up, I am a huge fan. Not to make another Lord of the Rings comparison, right?
No,
but
please don't.
again, Aragorn, right?
Yes.
Aragorn is the epitome of positive, wholesome masculinity.
Oh, yeah.
You cannot deny that man is all man.
He is
And
the
yet,
whole man.
he explicitly talks about love, and not just for Arwen, but for his traveling companions and stuff like this all of the time. Like, he believes in love, and he is like the epitome of masculine strength and power. He is a king,
for sure.
You know, it's like I'm a big fan of that theme.
Me too.
Because I think, especially in a world where Andrew Tate exists,
oh fuck yeah, God,
I think it's so important to talk
have
about
positive
masculinity being not just a bad thing.
Yeah.
And there's a very good YouTube video that I can recommend. I think, what are they called? Cinema Therapy, right?
Oh yes.
So there's this YouTube channel called Cinema Therapy where it's one of them's a filmmaker and one of them is a psychologist therapist, and they watch movies and TV shows and they talk about stuff. And they did a video about Aragorn versus toxic masculinity and about how he is the epitome of non-toxic masculinity.
Non-toxic.
And I can strongly recommend watching that because
that's
it
very
is
fun.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So as a person, I don't like Nylafon. But
no.
As a character, I do,
I
because
think
his growth is fantastic.
I think he's super interesting. Very quickly, I think he is, and he knows it himself. He's branded himself as a coward, and I kind of like that. And he's like a macho man. He is born to be a fighter. He had the opportunity to leave with Nachi, but he decided not to, and yet he doesn't fight. He's a bit of a coward.
Yeah.
And I really thought that was quite interesting to look at, because he's got all these different kind of traits, and the coward comes in, and yet he had to lead this army across the plain. He had to. He ends up sacrificing himself at the end of the book, overcoming or like accepting his cowardice, but like putting himself, knowing he has to protect others in this like love manner, because at the end I do think he really does care about the two girls, even though like he didn't like them at first, and thought he really does have a lot of character development that I really liked. He's definitely a very interesting character to look at. I would have loved to spend more time with them.
I think that is my qualm.
I think that was why I didn't like him as much as everyone else. Is that he just
shows
spawns
up
in
like halfway through the book.
Yeah.
And
Because
then
do we first meet him when he's on the ship?
Yeah,
Crashing.
he first appears when Alea and Kirby are on a ship crossing an ocean, and he, as the captain or commander of a raiding ship, attacks their ship. And then both ships sink as a result.
Yes.
And then from there he is
he
following them and keeps trying to kill them to begin with, or keeps trying to kill Alea to begin with.
Specifically, because he's like
because
magic
he
bad.
thinks she's a witch because she did magic. And then eventually Kirby basically teaches him that, you know, he could be a person too, actually. Yeah. That's kind of my favourite. I love the dynamic between the three of them.
Yes.
Where we have Alea teaching Kirby, you know, what the world is, and Kirby teaching Alea, and also Nylafon, how to be like a person, like a nice person.
Like actually like sitting him down and kind of like mothering him a little bit.
Yeah. I think
sweet.
it is really sweet, especially when you take into account that Kirby's dream in life is to be a mother, right?
She saw that as like either like
exactly when she is interacting, particularly with Nylafon, even though they're like the same age, it does have that like
sibling
motherly
mother and child
feel.
yeah,
where it's like she is looking after him and teaching him, and I don't think she ever explicitly realizes that, but I love that it makes clear that it's like she's already doing that. Mm-hmm. She's already being the mother.
She's
and also,
already
like,
being that. Yeah, nurturing role.
When she's in Wall's End, she is the person who looks after any babies. Like, she has spent her whole life looking after younger children.
She's been the caregiver for everyone in that village.
Yeah. And she... Yeah. And I love that... that despite... Because, again... right, I think we can all think of like that sort of character archetype of somebody who grew up looking after the younger children in their village, and now she wants to go off and do things out in the world and be an adventurer because she's fed up of being trapped in this role, blah blah blah. And I like that Kirby is not that. She's this is my shit. This is my jam.
This is what she loves to do.
Yeah, I love the approach to gender and gender roles in this book.
I thought it was really interesting.
It's
the way they do
fantastic
in this book.
Because at no point is it like
it's not demonised that she wants to have a family, and I quite like that.
We've had the women can be warriors too.
Yeah.
Plenty. And that's so important, but I think it's also really important to be like, it's not less feminist to want a family, to want to be a mother, or to want to be a parent.
You can want to be a mother. Absolutely you can. It's... I loved her motivation. I love Hearth wrote it. I'm just not a fan of her name. Okay? I didn't like the name Kirby, but like...
Is it because Kirby is already like a thing? Like,
maybe.
In the cultural zeitgeist that we know what a Kirby is.
Maybe because it felt very like 21st century, but like I can totally see it fitting. I don't know that it
does though, because my only association with the name Kirby is the little pink guy.
Okay.
Right. So for me, reading this book, I was able to just ignore that because I've never played any of those games. So I'm just like, cool. Her name is Kirby.
Probably my association with.
I saw lots of reviews being like, I don't like that her name's Kirby, and I was like, why?
I think it's just
maybe
like,
I don't know.
I think it just might be personal preference of maybe not.
Yeah, which is fair.
But like, I didn't care that much that it threw me out the story.
No.
But
I did see a few people be like, oh, why is her name Kirby? And I was like, well,
it's just a name. Oh.
But then I guess, like, to be fair, if I was reading a book like this and the main character's name was, like, Mario, I'd probably be thrown a bit.
Yeah. Probably because I have played them, I'm being like a bit, ooh.
Maybe that's what it is.
But,
maybe it's just like my experience of Kirby is Smash. Right?
So, that'd do it.
I was like,
So, not much. But that was literally my only qualm with Kirby was like, I don't know about that name. That was the only thing I didn't like about it. I was like, oh,
It is one of those things though where you are like, I can understand being like, why would you call your character Kirby knowing that Kirby exists as a thing? It was like when we read A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking and the enemy were called they were called something that was like a hand sanitizer brand or something.
Oh, yes!
Right? And it kept throwing me off because that's all I could think of.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So I guess there is...
coming to fight us. There was that aspect that threw me a little bit, but like, it wasn't a huge problem. It wasn't a huge... Because I felt the world was so well written that I could accept it being in there. So it wasn't a huge problem for me.
Yeah.
Can we talk a bit about the setting? Because I really did enjoy it.
Yes.
We go to many different places over the course of the story, as you do with road trips. One of my major qualms was that we didn't spend a lot of time in these places for them to be fully fleshed out. But I do think the select amounts we did spend a lot of time within were really well done.
Yes.
Like,
I think this is where the road trip fantasy can sort of collapse a little bit.
A little bit.
Is that it can be really hard to do the world building at the same time.
Yes.
Because you are passing through these places really quickly. And especially when your world building is as like interesting as it is in this book, your readers are going to want more.
Yes.
It's almost you've done it too well. Right? Like, if the world building was less interesting, I wouldn't mind that we spend not very much time in most of these cities.
Yeah.
because I'd be like, yeah, cool, whatever, don't care.
Yeah.
But the world building in this book is already very interesting. So every
Yes.
time we get like rushed
I
through a
wanna
place, I'm
go
like,
more.
wait, no, I want to go back.
Yeah. I wanted to spend so much more time in Gleetland. I
Yes.
loved it there.
Although they do spend quite a bit of time.
They do spend quite a bit of time. I wanted them just to live there forever. I thought it was very interesting. I loved Lundy, the young prophet specifically. I think they're
Yes.
probably one of my favourite characters. Mainly because you're faced with this child who is like a major prophet for
Yep.
this community. And I loved the scene specifically, my favourite scene of the entire book, was when they went into the cave and found the two-headed sheep that if you look into, you can look anywhere.
Yep. And it turns out that this child is not a prophet, but has just in fact found like an idol to a god.
Yeah.
And
has literally just like
and is just
accidentally now
spying on
dubbed
everything.
a prophet.
And
Yeah.
has just accidentally, but also very much enjoying it. I
Yeah.
want to make that clear.
Oh,
like
they're
this kid
loving
is
it.
milking it for all it's worth.
Oh, for sure. Lundy cannot wait to be like, you know what? I see people crossing the aisle. Oh my god, really? Yeah. They're going to be my new friends.
Yeah.
Literally everyone adopts her, and it's Lundy's just the fucking best. Literally like, let's go on an adventure. Here's this two-headed weird ass sheep.
Yeah.
Ta-da! It was like
Yeah.
a kid was doing show and tell. And I really enjoyed that. I love Gleetland specifically because I really liked the god as well. Them worshipping Krull, the god of war, I think was very interesting. I loved the whole kind of like marsh-like plain that they were on.
It's
That
very
was interesting.
so. The world building of this book, and it's very explicit about this, is that it's a fantasy version of like
Actual
the fall of the
place.
Roman Empire.
Yes.
Right,
So these
and
places did
there are
exist.
areas that are obviously very deliberately sort of ancient Mesopotamian.
Yes.
And Gleetland is Britain.
Yes.
Right? It's particularly Celtic Britain. It's
Yes.
Scotland. It's fantasy Scotland, basically.
Pretty much.
It's the bit that the Roman Empire could never quite take, because they're all nuts up there.
We sure fucking are.
And so, yes, I did love the sections in Gleetland because it's just like, oh yeah, that's
just
fantasy Scotland.
This is just like round the corner. This is the corner
Yeah.
shop.
Yeah, no, I actually have one of those two-headed lamb gods just in my cupboard. Actually, yeah.
It makes perfect. That, you know what that is? That's a haggis.
Yeah.
That is a biblically accurate haggis.
Biblically accurate haggis.
You know, because you
That's
see them all the
beautiful.
time bouncing around the Highlands. Yeah, no, I did like that. Some of the cultures that we did pop into were very kind of like, kind of recognizable. Like Novella, obviously being Rome, Ash, being kind of like Ash Mosem being like post-Roman occupation, and Milo was. What did I say? Spartan kind of soldier-ish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's they're kind of Spartan, but also kind of Viking-y a little bit, and
Yeah.
they're raiders, right?
Yeah.
Like they're water-based in particular raiders. They get out on their boats and they go and raid people.
Yeah.
And particularly other boats.
They sure
And
do.
They are renowned for just being very violent, aggressive, successful warriors. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was done very well.
Yes.
There was just aspects of, I know we're on a road trip, we can't spend a lot of time. Like some of
But
the
it is a
towns they
shame.
pass through, is like immediately they arrive, a chapter later, they're leaving again, but I completely understand why.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
It's
Just
that
because
kind of
we
epic
understand
road
it
trip.
doesn't mean we're okay with it.
Yeah, I know, I wanted to go back. Go back there. I wanted to see more of the cultists. Okay?
Yeah.
The inciting incident that brings them all together, well, Kirby and Alea specifically, is that Kirby kind of falls for it. I can't remember if Alea fully does, but
she falls for it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're both.
She gets on a ship because the ship are like, we're going to Novella. And
they're
she's like,
going to
oh, well, that's
Novella
where I'm going.
straight
Great.
away. They were like,
And
oh,
then
this is gonna be so
discovers
easy. It's
when
literally
they're
just
already
a dog.
sailing that that they're actually rebuilding, or they think they're
They
making
think they're rebuilding.
new novella.
New novella. they think they're doing it.
Yes.
So that's how they meet, is that they both
Yeah, they
are
both
kind of
get
like,
taken
wait, this
prisoner
is
by
not
these people.
a thing. Then they get captured because they've pissed the guy off by saying this is not actually novella that you're making here. And so that's how they meet. I kind of do wish, because they quickly escaped the cultists.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to call them cultists. I don't know if that was the exact wording used for them, but they're very much wanting to recreate novella. But like,
Yes.
I wish that they had tried to follow them a bit more, because it was kind of like one and done with them, and I wanted to see a little bit more consequence for that.
Yeah, I guess to the new novellans, these two just weren't worth much.
Yeah, which is completely fair. Like, there's
They
two
have
people that are on
they're
the
busy
run.
being ancient Rome fanboys.
Except, oh my god, they're just Reddit users.
It turns out that their Roman Empire is the Roman Empire.
That was good. That was
Thank
good.
you. I do like that Alea and Kirby escape, and then Kirby just starts following Alea.
Yeah, I did really like. Oh, we're going to the same place. We're friends now. Or like,
And Alea's like, no.
we're getting soft tacos later.
And there's this the first while
Yeah.
they're just like
Alea just wants rid
Alea
of her.
is walking, and Kirby is just walking like a few feet behind her.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, I'm coming this way too.
Wasn't there a scene where it was like she was trying to hide a little bit from her and it was like behind a tree and it's like, why you
I think so, yes.
why are you still fucking following me? I thought that was a really, really funny way to introduce the pair into like close proximity relationship by accident. Where forced friendship was really fun.
Yeah.
Forced companion. That was great.
And then I love that at one point Alea scampers away, thinks she's got away from Kirby, and then picks some berries as in about to eat them, and Kirby's like, no,
don't do that.
Kirby just appears out of nowhere, is like, don't eat those.
Don't eat those.
Tell me you've not eaten any of those. Those are deadly.
Those are bad time berries, okay?
And then it's like, oh, she might be worth keeping around, huh?
Yeah, which then you kind of get a grasp into like Kirby's knowledge about the world as well, because she's very like, she knows a lot about that world as well, which is interesting.
It's important to acknowledge that by the time they meet, Kirby has spent quite a long time traveling by herself.
Yeah.
She's been doing this, walking through the countryside by herself for a long time. So by the time they meet, Kirby's already less naive about like surviving than she was. And very quickly proves herself useful to Alea of like how to enter a town you've not gone to before and all this sort of stuff. It's incredible.
For sure.
We were saying before we started recording, I was saying that I put tabs in this book, which I've never done before.
Tabbing is so fun. I love tabbing.
It's very fun. And basically, my system is I'm going to slap a tab down wherever there's something fun. Something that I was like, oh, that's a good moment. Which, as I was saying, turned out to basically just be all the really gay moments.
Yeah.
And so the first tab is about 150 pages into the book.
Yeah. Okay.
Because there's a fair amount of setup. It's like the first moment where there's like a little bit of flirtation between the two of them. And Alea specifically calls Kirby out for getting flustered.
Yes.
And it's just like, there's just this moment where you're just like, oh. Alea's just flirting because that's who she is. And Kirby's never really been flirted with before.
Yeah.
You know? And that, I think, that's what I was saying earlier. I think that's sort of the foundation of their relationship. It isn't necessarily that they're like, they've got great chemistry or anything like that. It's that this is what Alea does, and Kirby's never encountered that. And I don't think Alea's ever encountered somebody that hasn't encountered that, and so she's intrigued by this, like, naive person who hasn't been flirted with before, and I think that makes it more fun for Alea.
Yeah.
which I think is how they end up.
For
You know,
sure.
yeah.
Oh, now I'm just flicking through the book. Their relationship is very sweet.
Yeah. There's also there's numerous adorable moments where it'll be Kirby's point of view, and she'll just be like looking at Alea's hair and be like, I could really brush her hair. And then Alea's like, huh? Kirby's like, nothing, no.
No, nothing, not at all.
Doing a thing over here.
I did really enjoy the fact that they were very proactive about like how survival affects you, because there was a portion, I don't know if there was a chapter ages back that was like, oh yeah, I brush my hair every single day and tie it up in a specific way so it doesn't knot, so I don't have to cut it all off.
Yeah.
I liked that. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
that's just an added bit of fun.
Yeah.
Add a bit of knowledge from how they've...
Kirby is very practical.
Yeah.
But also, like, she likes her hair. So she's not going to just cut it all off out of practicality.
Yeah.
So she finds a practical way to tie it up. And it's great.
I thought that was fab.
It is. It's fantastic.
Okay.
And we talked a bit about the epilogue.
We sure did. But can we talk about the city? The final city? Or did you have something else to add to the epilogue?
I was just going to say I love the epilogue again.
I do love the epilogue.
I think it's a fantastic end. And, yeah.
Personally, I found Navila, when they finally arrived there, a little bit underwhelming.
Yeah, the section between them getting there and them leaving, I guess you could call it like the climax of the book,
Yes.
was quite meh.
It was a lot of
It
people
was
running.
not great. Yeah.
It was a lot of running. It was all,
there was
them
a
all
lot
being
of
split
running
up.
from place to place.
They were all separated, which I didn't love. But I understand, because development. I didn't feel a lot of threat from the World Lord. I'm going to have to say it really slowly like that, otherwise I will just like it will mush together.
Every time I was like, does that say Word Lord? And then I was like, no, my brain is just skipping over an L for some reason, and then it'd be
It's
like
because
World Lord.
I don't know if it's the accent, but I can't say it.
It doesn't work for
Word
me.
Lord? If I say it really
World
fast. World
Lord.
Lord.
You do just have to say it slowly.
Yeah. I didn't feel threatened by her. Before we go into the city, I loved the segments of the chapters that were you specifically are hearing the story of the World Lord as she comes to be in power.
So
kind of.
Yeah. Yes.
Kind of, because there's some.
There's this extra point of view where every so often there's a chapter in second person.
Yes, I love a
Directed
second
at
person.
you. And it's not you, the reader, though.
It's
you, the you in question, I think, is the World Lord.
Yes.
Exactly.
It just takes you a minute to figure out that it's her.
Which is kind of the point, right?
Yeah.
It's a bit like when you... Spoilers. It's a bit like when you read Harrow the Ninth.
I was going to make that conjuncture.
Yeah, and you're like, why is it all in second person? That's
This is
really
a
weird. And then you
redacted
realise
narrator
that
situation.
it's because it's Gideon goddamn fucking Nav narrating the whole thing.
Yeah.
Which you start to put together as you read the book, and this is similar in that respect, in that you put together who you is.
Yeah.
The more as you progress, you're like, oh, this is who they're talking to.
For sure.
Yes, no, I liked those bits.
I
absolutely
bits.
know what you mean. Once they get to novella,
I was just like, oh well, here she is.
Which I think is, I guess that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
In a way, is that it's like everybody has all these tales about the wonders of novella and how powerful they were, and now it's like she's gone fucking literally insane.
Literally insane. She's everyone's technically dead, and she's
the goddess. The goddess Iona, the goddess of spring, which is what Kirby is here to get, has also gone insane.
Yeah, I love God madness. That I'll mention that real quick. I thought that was really cool. That was really cool.
And Novella, the World Lord has gone insane because she's like used God magic to like basically pause novella in a big time bubble and keep it pristine, and so nothing has changed for hundreds of years, and so she's just like losing her fucking mind. But I know exactly what you mean. There was a lot of, do you know, this is a weird a bit of a weird comparison, but that whole section felt a bit like the one time I tried to play Dark Souls 3. Right.
Okay.
Okay, which is I'm in this castle full of
forever
soldiers that are trying to kill me, and I'm just running the fuck away because they're a bit scary. But I'm not fighting them, so I've not experienced the threat directly. I'm just like, oh shit, run the other way.
Which, like, fair, completely.
And I feel like you. Also, lore-wise, I feel like there's something about novella that would fit somehow in a Dark Souls game.
Absolutely. I was going to compare it to... when you said that, I was like, oh my god, wait, no, this reads kind of like Bloodborne. Because that's mainly one city that's been overrun with, like, consumption, bloodletting, weird little creature mans. Because I don't know if Dark Souls is, like, more... You've got more of, like, multiple cities. I've never played Dark Souls.
Well, I didn't get very far.
Fair. Okay. I know in the case of, like, Elden Ring, you go to a lot of different places across the world. Where in, like, Bloodborne, you mainly stay in the same location. So that I do love a one-city setting, and I think that can be done very well, especially with the fucking soldiers being mindless attack machines if you piss them off.
Yeah.
Weirdly reminds me of Dragon Age 2. There's a scene like that where you fight fucking... Okay, now I've just gotten... you've mentioned video games, and I'm like, oh, yes. But no, I know exactly what you mean. Absolutely.
Yeah. But I was not very impressed by that whole section.
I think it could have been done better and felt more threaty. Because a lot of them just kind of like either... I don't know if Aaliyah even went and talked to any of them. I know... Spartan soldier, forget his name, talked and Nylethon talked to a lot of them, or tried to.
Nylethon, but and came and saved the fucking day, and then also sacrificed himself to save the fucking day. Although, okay, I just want to talk about Nylethon's sacrifice a little bit, right?
Okay, go for it.
Because it's really sweet.
Yes.
So the people of Hearth, which is Carthe. So I've been calling it Hearth the whole time. Where Nylethon is from. They have this thing where when they're going into battle, they all have like a buddy, and they will each of them say to their buddy, they'll have like a they'll speak each other's names.
Yes.
As like a, you know, I acknowledge your presence and I will remember you if you die, sort of thing.
It's a whole thing,
and they have this whole thing about how they all like shout each other's names before battle to like build their camaraderie and stuff. And before Nylethon goes and dies, he gets Kirby to speak his name,
which I think is very sweet, and
it's
literally
very
screams at her to say it. And
he does, and I love that he includes. He says,
lover of
I am Nylethon of Hearth, son of Daxes, lover of Nachi, speak my name.
Yeah.
And it's so sweet because that is the first time that he specifically, outwardly acknowledges that what he and Nachi had was love and not... Like, the whole book he's just sort of like, he was my friend.
Yeah.
And he asked me to run away with him and have a life together on a farm, but we were just friends. He literally just like, they were roommates to himself. Right? He's like, he's done that to himself. He's done the historical erasure of gay people on his own past.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh shit, we were gay.
We loved each other.
And it's so sweet.
We wanted to have a farm.
And he gets Kirby to speak his name. And then he holds off the oncoming swarm of terrifying zombie soldiers who aren't zombies, but
they kind of are. They effectively hive mind soldiers.
But I will agree. I think that was the one good part of the whole novella section.
That was the only other like inkling that I even tended to like was the whole like banquet scene. But even then, I was like, could have been chopped. Could have been taken out because they kind of took slight control over Kirby's mind or something. she was eating food. I can't even remember it that well. That's how well this bit stuck with me. Yeah, and like they immediately got saved. I just didn't see the world lord or Novella as much of a threat other than the soldier guys who killed Nylophon.
Yes.
That was it. And
well, that was just because there were so many of them.
There was just a sheer amount.
And he had to.
I mean, because the sheer like volume of size of the quote unquote Roman Empire in this was massive.
And also it's
you
like
have this huge world force.
It's also anybody else who's ever tried to come to Novella.
Yeah.
Has found themselves stuck and like taken over in their brain.
Wasn't there another Gleetish soldier there that they noticed?
Yeah, there were other soldiers from all over. Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting. They did include that, but
yeah.
I
like. Yeah, it's that, and then it's like the city collapses because they've removed
very
Iona.
Fall of the House of Usher.
The idol of the goddess Iona was like powering the magic
bubble
that was keeping the city together.
Yeah,
and so it all breaks down, partially because the World Lord like destroys it.
Yes,
like she takes it down with her, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like immediately. The city is destroyed, and then the next page, it's like the two Kirby and Alea looking at the destroyed city, and then I love how it's at last Kirby slapped her knees and stood up.
That was really
she
good.
said, "Take care of yourself," which is so aggressively British.
Yeah,
right. It's the like, right. And then everybody knows that's the end of whatever interaction you're having.
That's the hangout over.
Exactly. I love that Grace Curtis was like, that's the way to end this.
That is the way to end this.
And I also love that it's Kirby who says
it's Kirby who says it's over.
It's Kirby who's like, okay, we're done. Yeah.
Yep.
And then
so
they talk. But I like that it's Kirby who is the one who's like, This is where this ends, because I feel like in another version of this story you could imagine the naive Kirby who has now discovered the world and been shown the world by her wonderful new girlfriend. She's the one who will abandon her provincial life in the back end of nowhere and go to the wonderful city of Ash with her new girlfriend. Do you know what I mean? Like it would be Kirby. It would be Kirby who would give up that dream.
Yeah.
And I like that it's Kirby who's the one who's like, okay. This is the moment where we need to go now.
Yeah.
And then Alea's like, I need you to have a great fucking life.
Yes, I love that.
And then it's like they do.
They do. They genuinely do. They have a great fucking life after it, and they've been so impactful. And Nylophon's been so impactful on them.
Yeah.
It was great.
I love as well that like Kirby continually, like, she, even in her fantastic happy life that she has, she, you know, every so often she'd like find one of Alea's hairs and would have to like walk off into the woods by herself for a while,
just to
and people just understand that like she deserves that privacy of just like, you know, and I there's a line, that great lover of the bedtime story had one tale she would never tell. So it's like Kirby has clearly spent her life, like, that's also a moment I think that I love throughout this book, is that they're on this road trip and every time it's nighttime, Kirby tells a bedtime story to Alea. She's like, okay, time for your bedtime, and she tells her all like the legends of her people and stuff.
Yeah,
because that's what she does. Because that's what she grew up with. And I like that Kirby is like, this one's for me. This is not a story that everybody needs. This is my story. Which I think is very sweet. And also, I like that. Where's the line? Here it is. So it's talking about Kirby finding a new love, and it goes, yes, she found another pair of shoulders for her to lean upon. Why not? Love isn't a well you draw until it's dry.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like that line. This, like, that clear statement that, like, you don't get one.
You don't get one. You love
Right?
a lot.
You don't just get one and that's it.
Yeah.
Exactly. And, yeah, there's more than one type of love, I think, as well, which is obviously important to talk about.
Extremely.
And I like that it's not like, well, her and Alea split up, so she never loved again.
It was never the end-all, be-all for them.
Exactly.
It was always, like, yeah, we loved each other, but, like, it's not like...
And still do.
It still do, but it's not like you can't love someone else because you've had this great love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's, like, the message of this book, and I think that was...
for sure.
That was wonderful.
That was wonderful.
Yeah. I think that's everything.
I
mean,
I'm happy.
Grace Curtis, she's an auto-buy author for me.
Oh, for sure.
Anything she comes out with, I'll be like, yep, yes, please.
Yes.
And ideally in hardback, so I can have the lovely matching set.
I'm
continue.
so pissed that my copy of Frontier is a paperback. The collection.
It's just not good enough. You should have got it when I first started telling you about it.
I should have. I should have listened. But no.
You should have trusted me. I'm sure you could probably find a hardback of it somewhere if you wanted to try hard.
For sure. They're probably around somewhere.
But yeah.
Yes.
So, would you recommend this book? That's the final question.
Fuck yes, I would recommend it. Even though I was on the side of a 3.5, I still think this was a great book. I still had a great time reading it. I would definitely recommend it to people who want to know more about the Roman Empire, but like that kind of like retelling that they do. A lot of fans of like Natalie Haynes might like it.
Yeah, I think so.
Big fans of like the Gladiator movies as well. That kind of stuff. Yeah.
Anybody who likes Becky Chambers.
Anyone who reads Becky Chambers.
Anyone who likes Grace Curtis's other books.
I was just about to say
especially if you liked Frontier.
Yes.
Because this is more like Frontier. I would also say anybody who liked Godkiller, but then not such a huge fan of how things ended there.
That was one of my recommendations.
Mine too, so I've just ruined it for both of us.
God damn, that's fine.
But then to be fair, other Grace Curtis books was also one of my recommendations.
Actually,
so I've
Hannah
already
Kaner
knocked out
quoted
2
on
of
the
my
back.
3.
Hannah Kaner is on the back of the book.
Oh yeah.
Just noticed
so
that.
She is. Tamsin Muir is on the back of Floating Hotel.
Is it? Oh my god. Oh my god. I didn't realise she was there. That's fab.
Yeah.
That's so good.
So there you go.
Anyone who likes Gideon the Ninth.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, for sure.
For sure.
If you're a Tamsin Muir fan, you're going to like Grace Curtis.
Oh, for sure.
If you liked Idolfire's approach to romance, where it's romance but it's not, that's the locked tomb there. It is not a romance, but it is.
Exactly.
It's not, they're not together, but they are.
They are. In the best way. They're great.
And also all of the worst ways.
In all of the worst ways. They're fucking deeply traumatized. Right, let's do some recommendations.
I've kind of done mine. I'm not going to lie.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. It was the Locked Tomb, Godkiller, and other Grace Curtis books, and Becky Chambers. So...
Oh no.
They're all done. Your turn.
Oh no. I struggled, so I picked out like 6. So I could pick between just in case. I'll do 2. Fuck it, okay. I'll do these no, I won't do that one. I won't do that. I'll do these 2. If you like Roman Empires, like retellings of the Roman Empire, The Will of the Many by James Islington is a fantastic retelling of the Roman Empire, as dubbed the Catian Republic, the hierarchy, which is now, and the magical power in this world is your will, and people want to, if you go into jail, people siphon it off. It's very fun. The higher ups within the society have more will because they're being siphoned by people in like lower classes. And the main character of the book is the son of the old rulers, and he's in hiding, but he goes to a secret academy. Book 2 is coming out this year. I'm so fucking excited. It's going to be a great time. I loved this book so much. It was so good. My other one was Cascade Failure, about ALM sagas.
Oh, yeah.
Which is cozy in a friendship way, but evil in a corporation way.
Yeah.
It has the kind of like coziness of Becky Chambers, but also kind of like the messy, chaotic family stuff of also Becky Chambers.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it. Really, is that the corporate powers versus the trust versus union labor. It's fantastic. Go read both of them. I'll just do those two.
Great.
They're so good.
And also gay but not gay.
Gay but not gay.
But it isn't.
Different kinds of love as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's all gay love. But
all gay
it's
love.
Also not.
Also not. Best buds.
Yeah. No, those are good books.
Thank you.
Good recommendations. I haven't read The Will of the Many, but
I think you should. I think you might like it.
I've got so many books.
But it is one of the kind of epic fantasies that you can just like. I wouldn't blame you if you didn't read it.
Mm-hmm.
But I would also like you.
Blame me if I didn't read. Good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. No. I will get to it at some point.
Yes.
It's just that there's 12 billion other books that I will get to at some point. So.
I need to reread it because I can't remember what happened. Because it's been like 2 years. But anyway, our next month's book club book is Murderbot Volume 1 by Martha Wells. Yeah. We're doing another sci-fi. I can't wait.
We've tried to make sure that we've got plenty of sci-fi this year and not just a bunch of fantasy.
Because we've mainly done a lot of fantasy.
Yeah.
So sci-fi is also a great love of ours, so we're doing some more.
So,
and Volume 1 has 2 books in it.
Which are All Systems Red and Artificial Condition.
Yes.
That's our book/books. But it's novellas, so it's really only one. For next month, for July. Somehow it's June. Happy Pride!
Happy Pride, everyone!
I nearly forgot, but we got it in there, guys. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Be gay.
Happy. I hope you're being gay, and I hope you're being happy.
Yes.
But yes, Happy Pride. We read lesbians and gay people.
We read lesbians.
We read lesbians and the gays. But we've also kind of timed it really well for next month's pick being not Pride as well, but also because the Murderbot TV show has just also dropped on Apple. So
yes, the first
that'll be really fun.
4 episodes are out as of time of recording, but by the time this episode goes up, there'll be like 3 more.
Exactly. Things do change, but we will cover that in the episode.
I think we worked out that the last episode of the show airs, I think, like a week or 2 before this episode will go live. Yeah. So potentially by the time we record, we will have watched all of them.
Yes.
Or I will have watched all of them.
I have started. I'm caught up currently. Because I thought it'd be really interesting to read and watch in tandem. I think when I did. It was very fun.
Because we decided to read Murderbot entirely unrelated to the fact that the show was coming
this was by accident.
Because I don't know about you, I forgot that the show was happening. Like 4 separate times I forgot. And then I was like, oh yeah, Murderbot, every time.
Yeah.
But it does work out quite nicely. Because it means that we will talk about the show a little bit. We'll try not to talk about it too much. Yeah, but we'll talk about it a bit.
And Artificial Condition, I don't think will be covered in the TV show anyway. So it gives a good bit of stuff that was covered, stuff that isn't, and what's coming next.
Yeah,
it'll be kind of fun. Hopefully it gets renewed because it's been really good so far.
Yes. And remember, obviously, we didn't have a Talking in the Tavern this month.
Yes.
For reasons of we're both very busy with holidays.
Yes.
But
we're taking impromptu
there will be
break.
a Talking in the Tavern for July.
Yes.
Which will be our mid-year freak out book tag that we've done the past couple of years as well. So keep an eye out for that. That'll come out sometime in early to mid-July.
Exactly. And that'll be really fun.
Once we decide which Tuesday it'll come out on, we'll let you know.
It sure will. It'll come out.
It'll be a Tuesday.
It'll be a Tuesday. Hopefully.
Probably, assuming we don't fuck up the scheduling.
Us.
Which, to be fair, we
I
have
hope
not
we
yet
don't.
done.
No.
Not with the
Not with
actual
the podcast.
episodes. We've
Post
we've
on
fucked up
Instagram.
scheduling with the social media a few times.
Yeah.
but
But
never
you know-
with the actual episodes going live, so, It will be back. We'll do our mid-year freakout.
Yes.
And then we will be talking about Murderbot at the end of July.
Indeed. And it'll be great.
Thank you for listening.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us in the tavern.
Thank you for joining us here at the tavern. Phoenix, where can our listeners find you outside the podcast?
You can find me at Beans and Fungi on Blue Sky and Instagram. What about you, Eve?
And you can find me under Cozy Crow with an S and not a Z on Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky and YouTube.
And of course, make sure that you're following the podcast itself on Instagram at Hearth and Tome Pod, Blue Sky at Hearth and Tome, TikTok at hearth.and.tome, and YouTube at Hearth and Tome Pod to get updates about when episodes come out, as well as behind the scenes bits and bobs. And we will see you in July.
See you then.
Bye! The music used in this episode was Midnight Tale by Kevin MacLeod through Incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license.